Hi, budgeting moms. Do you want to kick off the new year saving instead of overspending? This is one of my favorite videos to make because it will teach you something that you can always come back to and use anytime. Let me tell you about No Spend January and then how you can join in. So, what is a no spend January? No spend January or a no spend month means that no spend January or no spend month is where we choose a month not to spend. Meaning, we still pay the rent, the bond, school fees, we buy food and water, electricity. We pay also for fuel. So basically, we still pay for all essential expenses. What we do not spend on is any wants or discretionary spend, such as new clothing, toys, or anything similar to that. I actually go a step further and look at variable costs. Those are costs that are variable or change on a month to month, and the change per se is in my control. For example, fuel expenses and grocery expenses, I consider that variable pay because it changes on month to month, just depending on the groceries that I'm buying and then also where I'm driving to. Eating out, entertainment, all of those fall under discretionary, so we would not be spending on those. The whole point of this is to be mindful of our spending, how we're spending, and also to get a kickstart into the new year. I don't know about you, but for me, I know that in December, there are a few budget categories that I've overspent on. And in order for me to bring that back in line and into control, doing a no spend January will really help elevate that pressure. So doing a no spend January helps me not to wait until month end in order to recover from the overspend, or wait until 3 months to recover from the overspend, but rather to find some savings within the January month and then utilize that to recover from some of the buckets that I've overspent in December. One of the principles of budgeting and financial success or financial freedom is how fast you recover from your mistakes. And I can say that for me, really acknowledging that there are some buckets or categories that are overspent in December, and then coming into January and making sure that I'm making amends. That as quick as I make the mistakes, I make sure that I recover from those mistakes and they don't continue forward. So I do call it one of the budgeting principles is how quick you recover from your mistakes. And guys, please, this is not a sad, boring exercise. We are resetting, we are realigning in order to get back in track with our goals. And remember what your goal is. Remember that we are aiming for financial freedom, financial success. Think about those things, and it makes it really easy. It makes it exciting that if I actually lock in now in January, it will make the rest of the year easy. So look at it as a lock in and a focus. I'm actually thinking so far as to do this every 3 months. But watch the space and let's see how we progress. And also let's see what results we can deliver from this. My first tip is to create a budget calendar and plot in all and plot in your important financial commitments on the calendar. This way you have a visual of what you need to be spending, when you need to be spending it. And also it gives you a visual on how much you need to stretch the month to actually get to month end. And it also helps me envision on the weekends how many weekends I have before pay date, and helps me plan activities around actually the finances, and helps me plot important financial dates so that I am clear on what I'm going to be spending money on, and clear how much I'm going to be spending, and clear on where I'm going to be saving. So example of a budget calendar, as you can see my budget calendar, you will see, for example, I've got a bunch of things on my budget calendar, which I started sort of the program from the 29th. So this really helps you envision your month, understand your expenditure, and understand where you derive savings from, because we only want to plan with expenses that we still need to be doing. Right. So, for example, on the 13th, I have hair appointment, and then this specific hair appointment is for the children as they are going back to school. Even though I have budgeted for my own hair, I'm going to stretch and push to stretch my hair a little bit further, so that I'm able to save up that amount as part of, because hair is sort of discretionary spend, and I can decide whether I want to spend the money or not. And that is an example. Another example, I've obviously budgeted to do my nails. And to be honest, as it stands right now, looking at my nails, I don't think I can stretch it any further than it is. So I'm probably going to have to do my nails. So that's probably a cost that's going to come in here. However, I can decide on where I do my nails. Maybe choose a more affordable place. Second thing is what type of nails I can do. So I'm probably thinking of I can either do a refill, or I can do like gel on my nails, which would be less than what I generally do. So those are sort of the thinking that you need to start having on your head. And on my nails, I might probably save like 150 or 200 rand. It's not a lot, but it adds up. If I'm saving, for example, 1.2 on my hair, and then I'm saving 200 rand on my nails, that's already like 1.4. So it really does add up. So it's really important to just have a glimpse or an overview of your budget calendars, so that you can be able to plot everything and then start making decisions based on that. Tip number 2, one of the biggest places I tend to find savings from is groceries. So definitely I'm definitely looking to save on groceries. So tip number 2 is meal planning. I'm going to be meal planning for the month through weekly meal planning. So I'm going to plan every week's meal to make sure that I only buy groceries that I need, and make sure that I utilize all the groceries that I buy, but also to take stock of my current groceries, what I currently have in stock. That's important, and making sure that I fully utilize that. So I've broken down the budget I want to use for groceries to a weekly budget. and making sure that I can then deliver on those savings. And basically, the first week I have a certain amount, the first week of Jan. The second week of Jan, the amount is slightly higher because that week I'm also going to be planning for lunches. And then I've also gone on Pinterest to get lunch ideas. So to make sure that I'm ready for back to school, and I'm ready for the lunches that are needed for back to school, but also to continue to save. Tip number 3 is to find things that are fun, cheap, or free to do with your family. So basically, I go through like Facebook and I Google and I search things that are fun, free, or cheap to do. For example, I take the kids swimming, or there's this zebra park that I like to take them to see zebras, which is for free. Or I do something cheap, like taking them to the Magic Company. What is it called now? The Fun Company. But basically, you look for things that are fun, cheap, or free. And for us in January, I have 2 weekends where I've picked fun or cheap or free things to do. So on the 31st, we are gonna go to see Christmas lights. And I'm gonna share that with you. Maybe I'll share that with you. We're gonna see Christmas lights, and that's a free activity. And then we have a swimming weekend. Just looking at the weekends quickly, and I think because it's back to school, there's also a lot of back to school planning on in January. I think we only have 1 weekend where we have an activity, which is swimming or going to the giraffe park that I told you about. So I think just to emphasize that it's important to have a list of things that are free, cheap, and fun to do. Keep a list of those things so that you can just easily access and pull something out. There's also things like museums. My kids are also into aviation, so museums are always fun to take them. Nature reserves that are affordable. What else? I'm just thinking. Even sometimes like movie nights at home. So just do a bit more research and find what works for your family. And don't get me wrong, I love doing luxury activities, but I do keep my fun, cheap, or free list handy and useful. And then tip number 4. So I'm going to use the no spend January to stretch my budget to stretch my budget through the whole month. What I mean is that currently, because we get paid on the 25th, our budget spans from the 25th to the 25th. But ideally, what I want to do is that our budget starts from the 1st to the 30th, right? Especially discretionary expenses. What I want to happen is that my grocery money and my petrol money lasts me until the 30th of the month, right? So I'm gonna try and aim to accomplish that. And just looking at the budget and how strained it is currently, I might probably not get to the 30th, but maybe I get to the 28th. I stretch it until the 28th, and then in February I can stretch it to the till the end of the month, so that for example, when I get paid on the 25th, I'm not using that amount or that salary to put petrol for that week. I actually still have enough petrol money until the end of the month. So don't get me wrong, I am not running out of money during the month. But basically, because we get paid on the 25th, our month is currently running from the 21st to the 25th, which means when we get to the 25th of the month, we've already used up all the monies that we were supposed to use up, because I do a zero budget, which means that every rand is budgeted for, whether it's savings, expenses, or whatever, that at the end of the month there should be zero on our current account. Tip number 5, just do it. Just do it. You might not get it right 100%, but the 70% that you get right will make such a difference. It will make such an impact. Not just the physical impact of what you save, the mental impact of knowing that you have control over your finances and you have control over how you spend your money. That, for me, in the previous times that I've done it, has been the biggest learning, that I control how I spend. I control where I spend my money. And I know that sometimes we feel expenses like groceries and petrol and all of that, they just come. But going through this exercise has helped me realize that I get to control it. If I'm spending 8,000, I decided to spend 8,000. If I'm spending 6,000, I decided to spend 6,000. On groceries, for example, it really depends on the kind of food you're buying, where you're buying the food, and also what I've realized with a lot of households, there's a lot of like food wastage, and sometimes that's all it takes is for you to just block or stop the food wastage, and that then becomes the saving, right? Instead of food expiring and getting thrown away and all of that, you make sure that you utilize all your foods and that foods get eaten on time, and that becomes the saving. And in other households, that can be a really big thing. If you generally buy takeaways, you're gonna be cooking at home. If you buy lunch at work, you're gonna be making lunch for work at home, so you're gonna be taking lunch to work. And no spend January might look so useless, but let me just give you an overview on what it will do for me. So my total overspend for the month of December is 5,000 Rand. So I need to try and make up 5,000 Rand. So this is the plan, that I will be saving 2,000 in groceries. I'll be saving 1,000 Rand in petrol money. I'll be saving 1,000 Rand in eating out. And then that gives me a total of 4,000 Rand. And then potentially, if I get enough e-bucks, I might save another 1,000 Rand on groceries, which means I might be able to recover the full 5,000 Rand that I've overspent in December. However, let's say I'm not able to cover the full 5,000 Rand and I'm only able to cover 3,000 Rand. That does mean that end of January budget, I would need to then pay 2,000 Rand to the credit card instead of 5,000. So every little bit of the savings for no spend are gonna help. I'm aiming for 5. I'm gonna work towards 5. It is a challenge, it is a stretch, and it's gonna stretch me in every way. And the first thing that my husband said to me was, what about your obsession with biltong, protein bars, and cappuccino? How are you gonna be able to save on groceries with those items on the grocery list? And he's right. I'm gonna have to consider and relook at what makes sense. That's why I have a weekly budget, and then I'll see if those things fit into the weekly budget or not. And it does mean that on a specific week, I might not have biltong, protein bars, and cappuccino all at the same time. I might, for that week, just have biltong. And then the following week, I might decide to get protein bars. And the week after that, decide that I'm having cappuccino. So, and right, that's what I would need to do in order to deliver on this budget, on this challenge. But the satisfaction that I'm gonna get at the end of it is gonna be worth it. So those are the sort of compromises that I'm gonna need to make, but it's gonna be totally worth it. For me, I will say that January is one of the highest. December is a high spending month. January is also a high spending month because of back to school and everything that's happening in January. There's a lot of movement going on. It ends up being a high spend month. For this very reason, I would like to limit the expenditure in January and reset and set and realign and then reset my year or set the standard for the rest of the year. Please join the challenge and please comment below on how much you target to save. Like I mentioned, I target to save 5,000 Rand on the no spend January. Please let me know below what your target is and what are some of the categories you hope to save on, whether it's groceries, fuel, entertainment, eating out. Let me know. So we are off to see the Christmas lights, and I believe today is the last day that there's gonna be Christmas lights on. So we're gonna take this opportunity and go see Christmas lights.
But I got nice. Look at these dragons.
Up and leave. Take a lot of courage just to live out your dreams. Bigger picture I could see if I just close my eyes. Have the foresight to believe. Time don't move backwards, it speeds to the future fearlessly. Charging forward when I open my mouth, though I may not know how.
I hope you picked up some value from this video and there's some nuggets that you can use. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.